Right guys, welcome back. So what we're doing now is we're doing a speed boost. Quite easy, to be honest. What I've done is so far, so what's different from my project to yours, is I've put in this long platform here just for somewhere to have a run around with a speed boost. I've also put in a functional asset. Yet again, it's just a cube. I've made sure that it's tagged as a trigger, or the box glider is set to as a trigger. Put a new material on it, and I've also set up a tag for speed boost. I won't talk through how to do this because we've done it so many times. It's quite self-explanatory. If we've done it that many times. Just a quick disclaimer as well. For some reason, and I haven't really investigated into this, I just kind of cracked on. MonoDevelop was being annoying, so I'm using VisualStudio for my coding today. It's not really that different. It's just code. Code's code at the end of the day. It just looks a little bit different if you're using MonoDevelop. But essentially all the code's exactly the same, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Don't look into too much detail in this really. So what I'm going to do essentially, I'm going to start off quite easily. I'm going to add in two variables. One's going to be a private variable. I don't even know what a variable is. A variable, which is going to be a private float for normal speed, and a public float for boosted speed. So nice and simple. So these are obviously the ones that reference just general speed. What we also are going to want to do is set up a public float for speed cooldown. And what this essentially does is this will be how long it takes for you to hit the trigger and speed up, and how long it takes to slow back down again. So it's from when you've sped up to when you slow down, because I assume when you hit a speed boost, you won't want it to continue forever. You're going to want a certain amount, like a certain period of time, then it stops and goes back to a normal speed. So we've added these three variables in, two of them referring to speed, one to the speed cooldown. So to start with, I'm going to jump straight into start function, and I am going to set normal speed. Because it's a private float, we need to set it in here. And normal speed is speed at the start. At the start of everyone's levels, I would assume that the speed you're starting at is a speed that would be normal. So there we go. That's what we're setting that. If you set your level to start inside of a boosted speed, that's ridiculous. Don't do that. But also, it would mean that this wouldn't work. So yeah, right, let's get cracking. We've set up some variables, we've made sure that this is set at the beginning. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to grab one of these tag comparisons we've got in here. Change it so it's checking for a speed boost. Yeah, again, you can type this if you want. I'm just being a little bit lazy. So yeah, that's how we're starting it essentially. So yeah, right. So to start with, when you hit this tag, what we want to do is we want to say, right, speed now equals boosted speed. Quite simple. That does make sense. And then this is the point at which we do something a little bit different, because it's all taking time into consideration. So for this duration of time go this fast, we need some form of countdown timer. And what we use here, I'm going to use an IENumerator. And this might be a different function to something you've used before, but it essentially allows you to time something and do something after a certain amount of time. So I'm just going to call this speed duration. So there we go. And then in here is where I can now reference time. So I'm going to say yield return new wait for seconds. So as you can imagine, this is saying, right, do this, and then go into here, wait for the amount of seconds I tell it to wait for, and then do this. So in there, we want to reference the speed cooldown because that's the timer we're setting. So speed cooldown. So it'll work through it like this. It'll go, right, make it super fast. Then we're going to kick this off, so there'll be another line in there in a minute. And it'll say, right, come into here, wait until this happens, and you've waited for that long, and then we're going to change speed to normal speed. So it's going to go back to where it was before. So pretty much all there. The only thing we need to add now is something called a start coroutine. And this is us essentially saying, right, we want to do that's down there. And it's as simple as that. So this whole function works off, it hits the speed boost, it makes the speed go fast. As soon as it's got that boosted speed, it then goes on to this next line to wait through these phases to turn it back to the normal speed that it should be at. So I'm going to save all of this. I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to grab the ball. You'll see on here now we've got some additional settings to set up. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to smash the booster speed up to, it's going to be double. We'll start it off with double, and we're going to do that for 2 seconds. So all being well and this all working, which I can't count on for definite, you'll see that this is the general speed of the ball, so it's not particularly fast. But then when we hit into this, you'll see the speed's actually gone up. It's not that noticeable, unfortunately. But if you notice, the speed did go up, and it will do again now. So you can see it's gone up to 6. If we want this to be really obvious, just for the sake of this video, I'll put it up really high. Let's say on 15. We'll get to there. It's at 3. It hits that. Now that's some serious speed now. There we go, just for the fun of it, fly off the end. I won't die because I don't think my kill Z goes that far, so make sure to bear that in mind. Refer back to the kill Z video where we set how far that went. But quite easily there, we've set up a speed boost. As soon as the player goes into there, the ball speeds up. Obviously, you're going to want to play around with that and set the speed to certain things. Set the speed cooldown to work with what you're doing. If you wanted to add like a ramp in there or something crazy like that, then, you know, by all means, that's how you would do it. It just takes a lot of balancing to get that right. So there we go. Very easy speed boost that works on a trigger. Cheers.